All right, hello. ULTradez coming to you today on a Monday, July the 17th, with my trade report for today. So if you're new here, I am in the process of trying to get 20 accounts funded through Apex. Right now I have 9 evaluation accounts that are $25,000 accounts and 11 evaluation accounts that are $50,000 accounts. I think I'm on day 8 or 9 in the $25,000 accounts and day 3 in the $50,000 accounts. I won't go into why that breakdown is the way that it is. It's been kind of a goofy roller coaster ride. So let's take a look at that P&L real quick. All right, so you can see not a winning day today. Down 436 in the small accounts, 927 in the bigger accounts. I'm trading 4 contracts in the $25,000 accounts and then copying that in the $50,000 accounts and doubling it. So 8 contracts in the $50,000 accounts. Not the kind of day we want to have, but I think this is the first losing day I've had in 6 or 7 days, which is good for me. That's a record. And it's not the worst day I've had. So we'll take it. It was a hard day. It was a choppy day. Still some good entries, but it was kind of a mess. So let's go over that real quick. I'll try not to drag this out too long. My first trade this morning was actually in gold. I have kind of a love-hate relationship with gold because sometimes it can work out great. Most of the time it just it fakes you out. So you have to be kind of cautious. I did only do 1 contract for this guy. And what I was looking at a break of the opening range. I was also looking at the fact that I was kind of like a market structure. This is kind of a downward wedge. And as I was watching these candles form, I'm like, this keeps pushing down. I looked at the higher time frame here, and we were kind of in this area over here. This is a 15-minute chart. And we'd push down, and I was like, if we break this area, this support, we'll probably keep going down to about here based on what happened over here on, what is this, the 12th, which is exactly what it did. So I got, this was a little bit more of a speculative trade again, which is why I only did 1 contract. I entered here. My stop loss would have been literally above this candle, this doji candle right here. I was not going to give this much room at all. It did come down. Actually, 54.11. So it came down 20 ticks. I had moved my profit target down. I think I was hoping for a little bit more, and I wanted to kind of trail it and see if I could get lucky. So I was trailing my stop behind the candles, and fortunately this candle came right up here and ticked me out, and I've got 56, 4 ticks off of this guy. So we'll take it. It's a little bit of gravy. Here's what happened in oil. So coming into the day, it was just chopping sideways, just nothing happening. Not the kind of stuff that I like to trade. So that was the omen that the day was just not going to be what we wanted to see. I was hoping for another day like Thursday or Friday where the market just flowed, and it was amazing. So here is my first trade setup based on my rules. Price. So prior to open, right, price was below the EMAs, above the EMAs, below the EMAs, and then it pushed higher. We have new highs over here, right, for a long time, since way early this morning. Price comes down pretty strongly, tests, pierces this, pushes right through the 9 EMA. And so I drop my order in up here. Now the one kind of asterisk on this trade is that these are big candles. Okay. This is like a 20 tick candle, or not. I'm sorry. It's not, it feels like a 20 tick candle. There's 12 ticks. Okay. So I'm getting in one above, and I really should have my stop loss 1 below. So the stop loss should have been 14 ticks on this trade. The ATM strategy has it set up at 10, which is right where this green arrow is. And so as this was kind of doing its thing, I knew that I should move it down, but I didn't. I trade 4 contracts, and I'm thinking, I don't really want to lose, more than $400 in those accounts. Unfortunately, the result of that was I gave up the $400 when it would have worked out. And so that's something I need to add into my psychology practice, is that if I'm not comfortable with candles that are bigger than 10 ticks in oil, and I'm not willing to risk a little bit more for the trade to work, and again, these are very high probability trades, so the likelihood that it will work is there. And what the market is telling you is, I can move this much. It's telling you where it's going to go, right? It's not like this is a surprise. We can say we only want to lose, 5 or 10 or 12 ticks on something, which is fine if that's where you want to put your stop. But the market's telling you what it's willing to do, and if you're not willing to go along with it, it's gonna charge you. And it did. Now, the funny thing is, as we go through this, is that the market tended to go 15 on these today. I don't know why, but that's what it did. So my targets are 20. And so the way that I have my ATM strategy set up with my 4 contracts is my first 2 contracts will sell out, will close out, buy or sell, depending on whether I'm long or short, at 10 ticks. And then the other 2 contracts will move to break even and start trailing. Okay. And so that way, if it goes up, from 10 to 12, 11, 12, 13, 14, and then comes back, I'll at least get those 4 ticks on those 2 contracts, but it gives it the opportunity to go to 20 if it can. If I had stayed in this guy, I would have got 15. It did go 15 ticks. So from 53 up to 68. So that's 15. But I took a $400 loss on that one. After that, we kind of bounced around. There really weren't any good entries. I'm not taking these because these are just this is just too choppy for me. Ironically enough, this one probably would have worked, but this was technically a 3rd test, right? We came above, we tested once, came above, tested twice, came above, tested 3 times. We don't take the 3rd time. So technically it was not a good trade. This down here, this is the first test of the 21 SMA, which is typically a really good trade. I did not get into it because the overnight opening price was right here in the way. Now look at this. This is where it gets weird. So be prepared. Okay, what's the entry here, had I got in, would have been 74.76. So it's 15 ticks from 74.76. It's 91. Did I do that math right? It goes up to 91. I don't know. Let's see what happens next. Now it comes down. We don't really take stuff in the middle here. I mean, it's just bouncing around. Here, finally, we get a push below with the recent pivot low. We push up. We've got the 21 SMA. We've got we've got all the lines there. Open range box. So I went ahead and got in this one. Now what it did was I had actually moved. So it did come down to my 10 ticks. It executed the first 2. The second 2, I had actually moved my profit target all the way down to the bottom of the opening range. And because that happens a lot in oil, if it tests one side of the opening range box, it'll move to the other side. It obviously did. It just pulled back a couple of times before it got there. And so it ended up stopping me out on the pullback. Now here's the weird thing. Let's see, where's the bottom? But you can't guess what this answer is going to be. So 53, and I got in at 68. Should have been 68. I did get 1 tick of slippage here, so it should have been 68. And 68 is exactly 15 ticks. Weird stuff. And then I'm beating my head against a wall waiting for this thing to do something. It comes back up to my 21. I'm waiting for it. I mean, at this point in the day, I'm waiting for it to come back to the 21. That's what I want to see. I want to see a retest of the 21. Here's our cross, right? So I'm waiting for it to come back to the 21. It never does. And then I get impatient. I take a speculative trade. This was similar to the one I took in gold first thing in the morning. So because this was very speculative, I dropped down to one contract. I marketed in, which is why I got this horrible fill right at the bottom. I mean, this was just bad. It doesn't continue lower. It pulls back. I get stopped out for 10 ticks. And then it comes up here, and this is, sometimes this can get tricky because when this is happening in real time, sometimes these moving averages are in a different spot because they do move. They're called moving averages for a reason. And so when this candle actually closed, when this doji candle closed right here, the 90 EMA was actually right at the bottom of that candle. And so I was looking at it, trying to rationalize whether this was a valid entry or not. You know, did a candle open and close above it? I mean, it was technically touching. But I'd just taken this loss and I was like, so I stayed out. All right, so let's do some math. So for all of you who are keeping score, let's see. Okay, the first bottom here is at 74.20. We would have got in at 74.29. Okay, so that wasn't 15 ticks. Okay, good. Whew. Now, oddly enough, the way that this worked out. Oh, that's right. Sorry, I'm just remembering this because I actually recorded this video once before and then screwed it up, and so I have to do it again. So let's walk through how this would have played out. All right. If you're bored, feel free and I guess move on. But this kind of is funny to me. So I would have got in at 29. Okay, 74.29. All right. The first sort of trigger my ATM strategy would have been at 74.19 down here. So let's see where that's at. So 74.19 doesn't happen till here. Okay, so this candle taps it. So at this point, my stop loss would have been moved up to 10 ticks, or up to break even, excuse me, and then would have trailed. Okay. So let's see how far down it went. It went down to 14. Huh, that's interesting. So 14 up to my entry of 29 is 15 ticks. Oh goodness. So it would have trailed me down, trailed it, and then I would have got stopped out 10 ticks behind here. So at 24, which would have been up here. Okay. So I would have ended up getting the first 10 plus 5 on the other two. So another 15 tick trade. Weird stuff. This one would have been a great trade too, but I stayed out of it because, I mean, at this point I was kind of looking at this wondering how many times we were going to really bump up against this line before we poke through. And it was just really gray. I mean, price comes above it. So is that a reset? Technically, I don't know if price came above here to reset it or not. I wasn't sure. And then these ones almost touched, but didn't really touch. This, hey, this would have worked actually probably better than most of the others. I don't remember how far this one goes down. Do I get my full 20 out of this one? Let's see. 17. 7 would have been 10. Uh-oh. I'm going to go down to 2 because that would be 15. Oh, we would have got more. Huh. All right, so this one went further than 15, so they weren't all 15. Anyway, so I didn't take that one, and then, I'm like, I guess we're going to be down below this line forever. We're just going to live below this 90 EMA. It's just our lot in life. It comes up here, reset, I guess. I mean, this looks like kind of what happened before. We come back down, create a new recent low. We come up, we test it. I'm like, fine, I'm getting in, whatever. And really I got in because we were so close to above, so close to this candle that I could move the stop closer. So it was a lower risk trade, which was good because it didn't work out. It rolled over. I got stopped out for 5 ticks. But before it ends up going up, coming back down, retesting, and dropping. Should we see if this one was 15? I don't think it was. I think the 15 train has left the building. It went 9 down to 9 ticks. 9 up to, but we're in like slow motion land over here. Everything's too close. So I think that's really why I didn't get into this, because by this time of the day, everything's moving so slowly. It's not worth it. So that was the day. Wild, weird day. I wish I would have noticed the 15 tick thing before. It would have, after the first 2 trades, maybe I would have looked at things differently. I don't know. So that was my day. Hopefully tomorrow the market decides to wake up and behave itself, but you know, if it doesn't, it doesn't. The strategy still works. The name of the game is patience, waiting for the setup, not compromising, but being willing to take the trade when the trade presents itself, not, you know, second guessing yourself. I was very happy with this trade. I executed it exactly right. I'm unhappy with my first trade just because I knew that the stop loss should have been at a different spot and I didn't move it, and I paid $400 for it. Well, actually 400 times 20. So we're not going to think about that, but you know what I mean? So there we have it. Hopefully you had a good day. Trade safe, follow your rules. If you want to see how we do tomorrow, be sure and subscribe and hit the bell notification so you can get notified of the new videos. Of course, commenting and liking the videos helps as well. So stay safe out there, and we'll talk to you tomorrow.